Obviously, we're both, well, we're going live on Abstract as well. So let me just announce that in Discord. Give me 1 second. All right.
Logan, Nimish found you a tattoo artist
Wait, what?
in general chat.
Oh yeah, look, I need to tell you something though, because we've been doing these streams for quite some time.
Mm.
We've an internal joke within the community that if we ever get to 2,000 live views with our live streams, I'm gonna get a tattoo of my Plooshies. So no pressure at all, but it would be sick. I'm probably gonna get it anyways. But hitting 2,000 live views would be sick. I think our highest
Are you
was what?
streaming right now?
Like 1,500 or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pre mainnet and like 1,500 with Marianne. Shout out to Marianne, by the way. But yeah, dude, if we hit 2K, I can't go back with that. But yeah, we'll see about that. Let me copy the link. All right, I think we are good to go. Um, do you want to change to the stuff that you'll be doing tonight? Cool.
Yep.
Easy. All right. Well, there we go. Well, g'day guys. This is another Plooshies live stream. I'm very stoked, to be honest. Not gonna lie. Oh my goodness, look at that. I can already see this is gonna be pretty epic. I mean, guys, this guy needs no intro at all. We all know him as the big bird of Pochi Penguins, Luca Nets. Luca, g'day, sir. How are you? I'm so happy for you to be here with us today. Yeah, how have you been, sir?
I'm excited to be here. How are you doing?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Very excited. I'm actually meant to be in a wedding today. Well, the ceremony already happened. I'm just gonna go later to the party tonight. But yeah, dude. Honestly, Luca. First of all, thank you for joining us today. I know that you're incredibly busy, so thank you for that. I know that you're going on a kind of like a sprint with a bunch of spaces and streams and such because you have a lot under your plate, which is really insane. I don't even know how you manage all of that, but I wanna ask you a few questions before we go deep into abstract yourself, the Pocket Penguins ecosystem, Pengu ETF, the little Pudgy's animation. Like, dude, I feel like there's so many things that we can talk about today. But first, I just want to kick it off with Luca. How do you look after yourself? Like, because you handle a bunch of shit, right? And I really kind of want to know from like this sort of leadership position that you have with the Pudgy Penguins ecosystem and a lot of stuff that you're handling at the same time. How do you look after yourself? Like, how do you do it? Because it's not fucking easy, hey?
Yeah, I think I haven't been doing it. So like a lot of the
Mm,
guys told me like as of recent, like I think it's really important we start taking care of ourselves.
yeah,
It's kind of been a mantra internally, but we just frankly we haven't. Like our lives are this, and there is no life outside of this. But like for example, like today I'd probably go into like 9 or 10, but like I know at 7 I have to go to the gym and I'm turning off my phone.
yeah,
You know what I mean? So like and the thing is like we're working so hard to make everything successful, but like if we die in the process, like there's no point in that, you
yeah,
know? And we like, it's a lot and like just I don't know if any other founders feel like this, but sometimes it just feels like you're dying, dude,
oh, dude, yeah,
And I think just for us, just like, dude, I think a big epiphany for us over the last
mm,
like month was just like, dude, we have to be able to survive and like be healthy on the other side of this.
yeah,
If we're going to
yeah,
give this thing 15, 20, 30 years of our lives, we have to be able to survive that and not like drop dead in the process.
yeah,
So I think just like, before, for example, I did this like a couple weeks ago, but I was like, I woke up one morning, I was like, I knew it wasn't my day. Before I would just push
mm,
through, I just realized like that day, I'm like, I'm just taking the day off. I have to, if not, I'm
yeah,
not going
good,
to survive.
yeah,
So just being like a little more critical and understanding that, like, dude, at the end of the day, everybody has dreams, everyone has aspirations, but like, don't die
mm,
getting to your end destination. And I think that's been really good for us. And just, making sure we're out there being active, playing basketball, pickleball,
yeah,
I think has been good for me. And then just eating healthy. And, I've actually, I've been feeling really good mentally and physically as of recent.
oh,
Um,
that's good,
I
yeah,
could tell you like, in at the end of December, like
mm,
I wasn't feeling good at all. Um, so it's a good balance. And then I'm having fun. I'm starting on my free time. Like I'll spend my Sundays now like playing around with the portal and playing games. And
oh shit, nice,
I have like I've been crushing 77-bit unbeknownst to most. So it's just good to like
mm,
kind of just like go somewhere and just chill out and have fun.
yeah.
Um, and I think that's been healthy for me.
Oh, that's good to know. And I think I think you're pretty spot on, right? Like you're pretty spot on because sometimes we feel like, yes, we have this grand vision. We really want to be here for the next 15, 20, 30 years or whatever. But if you're not healthy and happy and actually having fun whilst doing all of this shit, like maybe even your team, your friends, your family get to notice that. And I don't know if they themselves they like, hey, Luca, maybe it's time to kind of like tone it down a bit so we can just start looking after ourselves so we can perform way better. Did you feel like because you mentioned December for you was like really intense. Like you were like, okay, shit, I really need to kind of like tone it down, look after myself, be more healthy, be more active, play basketball. You mentioned that you love to play basketball. Uh, was this one of the first times that you felt that you really needed to do that, or did you go through all of this before? I don't know, even before Pudgy Penguins, or maybe when you acquired Pudgy Penguins, when you were like literally, all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, I've been in moments like that before, but this December at the end of the year, I was like a
Mm,
day away from like completely being shot. Which was which
sweet.
was like pretty interesting because I took 2 weeks off and then right when I came back, I got into like a family emergency. And if I hadn't taken
Mm,
that 2 weeks off and that family emergency happened and I was like still working through like Christmas and New Year's,
mm,
it'd be gonzo. We wouldn't have pushed. We wouldn't even be talking right now because Abstract wouldn't even be live. I would have probably just like held everything up and just
yeah.
been like, like we're just taking a a break until further notice, or I was going to take a break until further notice. So I'm thankful that I did that. I've felt it before. I mean, this is just one of the things of being an entrepreneur. You know, you just gotta.
Yeah.
It's a blessing and a curse in a lot of ways, and I think the downside of it is sometimes how difficult it can be. But you know, greatness isn't easy. You know what I mean? Like anyone who's achieved anything great in life, like really suffered to get there, and this
Yeah.
is going to be no different. So just have to roll with the punches.
Yeah, I mean, even we can look at your bio, like striving for greatness, and it's going to be a really fucking rocky road for you to be able to actually strive, like get to that sort of greatness.
Yeah.
Luca, I feel like you have a really good eye for winners. I don't know if that makes sense though, because I don't know if people who have been familiar with your story, like even before, Pudgy Penguins, like your story with Von Dutch, for instance, right? Like how you were able to elevate that brand and made it the Von Dutch that we kind of knew back then, and
Mm-hmm.
saw that with a specific brand like Pudgy Penguins, and you were like, dude, I'm part of the community. Like even before you were repping at Border Yacht Club, and you're like, dude, I want to be part of the Pudgy Penguins. I fuck with the community. There's something here. Like you have an eye for winners. In the past few years, do you reckon, in your eyes, like in your perspective, have you seen any other sort of, let's narrow it to our niche, which is NFTs in Web3, right? Do you see something like that? Do you see something that excites you a lot? Not maybe because you want to acquire it or whatever, but something that you like, dude, these guys are really fucking killing it.
Yeah, I think being my trading career has kind of hit all time highs because now being in the trench, I really know who's got it and who doesn't. Uh,
mm,
and it allows me to like know who's going to win and stand the test of time. And I think it comes down to tenacity and resourcefulness. Like I'll use you as an example. Like you
yeah.
guys have fought through like the worst bear market, persevered, and have built like incredible products with basically no budget. I mean,
Yeah.
the plushie world that I know that you guys have been building on, just even the previews that I've seen, I'm
Yeah.
like, how have you guys built this with like basically no money?
Mm,
And I think that is like, if you can do a lot with nothing, like that is like a huge recipe for success and a huge green flag. And I
yeah.
can just kind of just tell, right? Like some guys have like 20 million bucks and just don't do anything. And then some guys have nothing. I know we had nothing. So I have a
Yeah.
lot of respect for people who go with like bare minimum resources and push and succeed. That is like a really good signal for me.
Mm,
And I've really tried to curate to the best of our ability, like the builders on our chain to like people that I
yeah.
know are that. And I was super stoked when I knew you guys were going to come and build here because I was like,
Yeah.
dope. Like, another group that I know is going to be here 5 years from now. I think that's super important because ultimately, like crypto is a game of like, how long can you be in here? And it's not if you'll succeed, it's when. Just like, can you survive? Right? Can you
Mm,
survive the burnout? Can you survive the market downturns? Can you survive the hard times? And if you can, you'll be in a really good spot and you'll succeed, right? Especially if you can
yeah.
really cultivate your community, et cetera. So I definitely can now. I know exactly like within a 95% degree. Like if you were to
Yeah.
show me, 20 founders, I could tell you the one that I think is going to succeed, and then which ones like are going to fail. Like I have a pretty good finger on the pulse there now.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, I think one of the things that you mentioned related to us in particular, like launching the Plooshies in the middle of a bear market in 23, when literally people were just focusing on fucking free mints, open editions, and that's it, right? Like obviously we didn't raise heaps of funds for us to be able to develop the stuff that we've been developing for quite some time, and finally being able to bring that with abstract with you guys, like it's surviving that sort of environment, and I guess building that trust with the community, and even being in the trenches with them, or even being in the trenches with other founders and putting yourself out there so people can know that, hey, these guys will be here for the right reasons, right? Even when you look at sent, this is a story that I really like to tell. When you sent the Plooshies account the DM, like, hey guys, I would love for you to build an abstract. Like honestly, bro, like if you would have seen Victor's and my face, it was like, dude, this is a no-brainer. Let's have a combo first. Then obviously we had the calls with you and the team, and we're like, dude, this just makes absolute sense for everything that we've been doing for quite a while. And yeah, we were just super stoked, like completely unexpected, but also like, dude, that seal of approval, that it gives us that push as well. Because like you said, though, like as a founder, as a builder, sometimes you feel like very shit because you see people winning, by trading shit coins, or people scamming and grifting or whatever. And then you're like, dude, when is gonna be the time for, like, people like us, right? Or other people that are here, like building some real shit that will attract, like we want, right? Like attract millions of people. And now that we have that window with abstract, it's not a moment of when, but it's not a moment of if, it's when, right? Um, so yeah, look, there was a time that when I was looking at Pachi Penguins and we were, strategizing and planning everything for the Plooshies, right? It was sort of like these guys have come up with a very successful playbook, right? That a lot of people have been trying to mimic. I'm with the idea of like it's not bad to imitate when the things are going in the right direction, but there comes a time that you need to innovate a little bit. That's sort of like
Mhm.
my motto, right? And when I see you guys and everything that you guys have done is literally like a lot of people have been trying to do that. Some have been successful with it, some have not, right? But what I'm trying to say with that is, do you see any sort of resemblance with the stuff that we're trying to do with the Plooshies? And you're like, hey, these guys are definitely on the right track, and I'm happy to support them. Whether that be with your platform, obviously, by bringing us to abstract and pushing us to the next limit as well. Like even it is pushing us, right? Like, hey, like we're on abstract, right? Like we're one of the top NFTs on abstract with it's the Plooshy houses. It's not even the IP, which is on it. These are the houses that will later on will be important for Plooshy Island. Um, but yeah, again, back to the question, look, like, do you see any sort of resemblance? Like, what do you see with the Plooshies? What made you feel like I really need to bring this fucking guys to my consumer crypto narrative to abstract?
I think it's really your guys' ability to cultivate community and then ship
Mm,
complex product with no money. I think are probably like the two things that I think were obvious to me. I think the first one is like you guys really know how to build in public and build a community that
mm,
I think, is maybe started off with like a really big pudgy nucleus, but has like since branched
yeah.
off into something I think, that has its own like identity. But I did really respect your guys' ability to cultivate community.
Mm,
Um, and I saw this with Victor IRL, just like the effort, like actually caring. You can just tell. The problem is like a lot of people, sometimes caring can for community, some people can think that's like the wrong decision. I believe it's the right decision over the course of the long term. Maybe in the short term it can feel like the wrong decision sometimes when you see a lot of people like winning and extracting, but I
mm,
know you guys really care about your community. And I think for every
yeah.
crypto project, it starts and stops there. Like, I genuinely care for the Pudgy Penguin community and the abstract community. Like, I think about it when I go to bed, I think about it when I wake up. And I know you guys are in that same bucket. I
Mm,
think the other side of it, though, is like it's one thing to care, but like, can you back up that care and actually deliver something? Like, based on my private conversations with you guys, like the amount that it took you to build what the world will soon see as like
mm,
Plushy Island, like that is incredibly impressive. I can tell you as somebody who's like been building Pudgy World for a long
yeah.
time, the fact that you guys have built that with the funds and the resources that you have, I mean, I think just speaks to your resourcefulness and like your guys' ability as entrepreneurs. So you care a shit ton about your community and you're super resourceful and you're talented entrepreneurs. Like, if that's not the recipe for success, I really don't know what is. You know what I mean? Like that's like the best I think you can do. And if you have those two things, it's just a matter of like, you know, now I'm trying to make an effort and talking to some of the NFT guys, the meme coin guys on
Yeah.
the chain. Like if I can just give you some of that 0 degree of like alpha and like understanding of how I think things work, right? Which is like I'm trying my best to do, then like
Mm,
there's really no reason why anybody, with your guys' characteristics doesn't succeed. Right? You care, you're talented, you're
mm,
resourceful, and you have me in your corner giving you like all of the behind the scenes alpha on like how shit works, right? So you're not clueless, right? Which I think like sometimes founders have the two, they just have like no clue how things work. They have this own conception on how they think things work, and then they just get screwed being naive. And like I think you guys have the ultimate trifecta. So I think it's just going to be a matter of, you know, when you guys see insane success, but you're already seeing success, right? Now you just got to compound it and keep it going.
Yeah. Oh, dude. First of all, thanks for the flowers, Luca. Like, it means a lot. Like, obviously, not just for me, but obviously, like every single one of us that are part of the team that literally have been, you know, it's a lot of sweat, tears, and even the limited amount of resources that we had to be able to push all this shit that we want to bring, like in a few weeks. Like, I know that it's sort of like this fucking cliche, hey, but like it's literally happening in a few weeks. Like I really want to be able to see people, streaming on Abstract Plooshy Island because they're having heaps of fun, right? Like because now they can finally see themselves as their plushies in the game, and all the stuff that we're bringing and the stuff that we will be announcing next week. Stuff that probably I can't say today. I actually, just FYI for you guys who are watching this, I had a call with Luca last week explaining him like where we are, where we're headed, how we're gonna get there, and kind of like a few changes that you all will see. But yeah, dude, it's that. Like if you say like I see this from you guys at this perfect trifecta, and dude, guys, like we now that we have this access to the alpha of fucking Luca's brain. Because we have calls with you regularly, not just myself, but other abstract builders and shit. It's just a matter of like, dude, I can't wait for people to see that, right? Because I keep getting questions as well, like how come there's a lot of overlap with the Pudgy Penguins community and the Plooshies, right? Like we were the first project being announced on Abstract that we're building on Abstract. Yet we haven't been able to bring the stuff that we want to bring, obviously because there's delays and shit. Nobody likes delays, even if people say like delays are bullish or whatever, right? But obviously you have that pressure now, like, hey, we really need to bring this fucking banger game so people can just have fun, experience that, stream on Abstract. I mean, literally people getting XP because they will be streaming, having fun. You guys will get the bloody plushie points that are very important for the game, and then the upcoming token cuddle and such. But yeah, dude, it for you. I mean, for me, it's like when you say stuff like that, even if we're like internally, like we have this sort of pressure, like we're like, we really need to be there. We really need to kind of become that sort of new inspiration for maybe other projects, right? Because you guys obviously are at the very top, but there might be others that can be that leaders, that can become the new leaders, that can help others, support others. And I wanted to change that to, I haven't seen that like in any other chain like I've seen with Abstract, to be honest. Like I keep saying this when I jump on spaces and shit, but it's so easy to one network with a lot of people on Abstract, picking people's brains, supporting each other, uh, because you have this massive community, which is the Penguins and now Abstract and all these other projects that are building there too. It's just like you said, it is literally, it feels like the recipe for success. How do you feel about that? How do you feel like now? Because you handle like obviously the Pudgy Penguins community that has the big penguins, the little pudgies, the frogs. Now you have pengu too, and now you have abstract. Uh, it feels like you keep expanding, 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 and but it feels like it is the right way to do it. It is the right way to do it to appeal to that many people that are drawn to the Pudgy Penguins and the people that you are elevating and supporting, like ourselves, right? Um, so yeah, look, I pretty much like, how do you feel about like handling all of these community? Because I see yourself as a brilliant community builder. Because you're being able, I mean, it's not easy, bro. Like you've been since you acquired Project Penguin since 2022, and still here, still people talking about Lucanets, not just in our niche, but like literally in a bunch of different places in Web 2, right? Like maybe people even don't even remember, but like the partnership that you have with PES, for instance, right? Like that's fucking huge. The stuff that you did with Walmart, with Target, and such, and even the partner for the upcoming animation for Little Pudgies, that's fucking huge, bro. Like honestly, like kudos to you. And but yeah, dude. Anyways, sometimes I yap a lot. So if you feel like if you like you want to jump in, maybe you're just drawn by Cole creating your honorary plushie. I feel like that's pretty epic as well.
Yeah,
Um,
Cole, where you at? Let me see. Let me see where you're at. Oh, you're in real time. Cole, you're pretty good at this. What is this, Blender?
Yes, sir, Blender.
I remember using Blender for the first time. Yeah, I think to answer your question,
mm,
Bogon, like I think like the foundation for the community set, so it's kind of easy to kind of scale on top of it.
mm,
Uh, but I'm gonna be frank, like I can still be doing a better job, but I do have a routine, right? So I think that
yeah.
routine allows me, like I didn't like for example, like I since day one was never like a guy chatting in the Discord, right? Like I knew
Mm,
that because I knew if we were gonna succeed, like I couldn't scale and like chat, and so like no one's like, where's Luca not chatting in the Discord? He's never done it for 3 years, right? So like it's easy. Like there's certain things that like I've done that I think in hindsight have allowed me to be like, okay, hop on a stream, hop on an inner igloo, hop on a spaces, and I think everyone
yeah.
kind of develops a stream of consciousness. Um, and so I think that's allowed me to scale building the community because people don't expect me to answer every single question. They just know I'm going to show up in these instances, and that's like
Yeah.
the moment in which people can kind of align. Um, if that's making sense.
Nah, yeah,
But
100%.
yeah.
No, sorry for interrupting you. You were saying?
No, and I think that's probably like how I've been able to pull it off. Though I think I can be doing a better job
Mm.
for sure.
When you say that you could be doing a better job, do you see anyone? Not. I don't want to talk about like crypto or Web3 or any other like someone having a leadership position within our industry and our niche. Do you do you have a mentor yourself? Do you try to, I don't know, maybe listen to podcasts related to, I don't know, CEOs, builders, entrepreneurs, sports people? Um, who would you say is a big inspo for who looking at is?
Yeah, so for community building, not really. I mean, there's a couple people within crypto that I respect. Like I think the Barachain guys are great at it, etc.
Mm,
Um, though, like there's probably only like two or three in crypto that I think do it at the level that we do it.
yeah.
In terms of like outside forces, it's probably the same as most entrepreneurs, the Jobses and Elon Musks of the
Mm,
world. And like, I think I'm super inspired by them and what they do.
yeah.
Uh, and those would probably be like my two main inspirations. I probably should try to like find like a person that I want to be. I just kind of want to be the best version of myself, though.
Yep.
There's probably like I'm starting to like read more. Like one thing that I just told myself at the end of this weekend, I was like, I need to start reading again because there's a
Mm,
lot of information that I used to get while reading that I'm just not getting anymore. So more reading, and I'm probably gonna start picking some poisons in terms of the people that I want to read about here pretty soon.
okay. Do you have any recs, any recommendations, or something that you like? Oh, you know what? Maybe I should just start reading this guy, or someone that recommended you before that. Um,
I'll let you know the next time we do this. Right now, my
okay.
Rolodex of reading is really like only like fantasy reading.
Mm,
But there's been a couple good books that I've read throughout the Pudgy Penguins journey here over the last couple of
yeah.
years that I'll probably have to revisit. Like Ryan Barlow's fundraising book is an interesting one. There's a couple.
Mm, okay.
Breslow. Yeah.
One. I don't know if you're familiar with the Knowledge Project by Shane Parrish. Um, it's a really interesting podcast. Literally, I think his idea of the way that he does his podcast is really interesting because he's literally bringing a lot of entrepreneurs, sports people, business people, and shit, and he's literally asking so many interesting questions for us people, like normal people, just listening to that, learning how they did it. It's like an hour or an hour and a half, and he's hosted so many brilliant people though. Like honestly, mate, I reckon like if there comes a time that Shane Parrish is interviewing Luca Nets or any of us, right? For me, that would be so gigantic because this guy has honestly hosted so many interesting people that have managed success, right? And I can see obviously you there and potentially us as well. Like we want to get there, right? Like when people start talking about you and recommending like, hey, bro, like, have you seen what Lucanets has done since he acquired Pochi Penguins? Like everything that he's doing, let's bring to something like that with normal people, where you have a lot of entrepreneurs and business people, etc., etc. Like if you haven't seen or heard about the Knowledge Project, Luca, I highly recommend that to you. I think it's very interesting. It's just in whatever you're doing, maybe when you hit the gym or you're playing basketball or whatever, that would be one of my recs to you if you're down to that. And then let me know if you actually do it. Um, but yeah, Luca, when you see the next few years for Abstract, what do you want to see Abstract in a couple of years in terms of awareness, usability, perhaps daily active users, with the apps that will be there. What do you see? Where do you see, and how do you want to see that?
I think in like the next 3 to 5 years, it could be tens of millions of MAU
Mm,
with like millions of DAU. I want
yeah,
us to be the clear winner in the L2s, and I want us to be a top three blockchain from activity, meaning I think it's going to be Ethereum, Solana, and Abstract as like the top three. I want us to be the company. I want us to be the company responsible for actually like breaking through and being the
mm,
first entry point for most people in crypto. I think we can do it. I know we can do it. Um, and that would probably be like my holistic, like very simple, vision.
yeah. It is it is a perfect Trojan horse. Hey, like the way that you guys have done it, and I feel like there needs to be that banger app that can start pushing that. And I feel like we're like sort of like in this stage where we're like kind of beta testing what's gonna hit, right? Like what's gonna stay for longer time, right? Because there's a bunch of maybe projects or products that are fairly new to the ecosystem, and they need to go through all of that experience that perhaps like the Plooshies we've gone through since 2023, right? And we're now waiting to introduce something like Plushie Island to Abstract, and the NFTs that we're bringing, like the houses that we managed to solve that in 20 seconds. That was fucking epic. And now we're bringing the apartments as well, that will play a pivotal role, for people to be able to play Plushie Island before we actually release that to the public. So for me, I'm even putting that pressure on myself, the team, and the others to be one of those, right? Like we want to be that. I know that you use this term a lot, but we want to be that North Star on Abstract. Like we really, if people see us there, like, hey, the plushies are there, like perhaps how people see, Ancient Heroes. Now people are talking about 77-bit and many others, and we'll see multiple ones as well. That I just want to see us win, including, I mean, when Pudgy World is there, which I'm assuming it will be on Abstract too, that's another Trojan horse, right? Because you're bringing a bunch of people to the chain. Um, so yeah, I guess just a matter of time and see how this is gonna play out in the next 2 3 years. Do you see the stuff that you're building now with the Pudgy Penguins and bringing Pengu and even the ETF, which is huge news, being kind of intertwined with the stuff that you're expecting from Abstract?
Yeah, totally. I mean, they're all intertwined. If and when the Pengu ETF, gets approved, like
Hmm.
how do we make an abstract ecosystem ETF, right? So like a
Yeah.
lot of the things that we're doing at Pudgy is like as they work, we'll segue them to the rest of the ecosystem.
Oh, dude, simple. Simple. People can understand it. I feel like we just need to wait. We just need to wait and see for that. Um, but yeah, Cole, tell me what are you doing right now? I kind of want to see what was your idea for having me and Luca in What is that, by the way? Like a sled?
Yeah, sled. Yeah, they are.
Okay. So tell me about your creative process real quick, Cole.
I don't know. I just kind of do stuff. I don't really have one. I got a picture of a sled on my other screen, and then I was just kind of
Yeah.
modeling it. So we'll just kind of see
That's
how it
funny.
goes.
Okay. Now I'm loving it already though. Like, do you see yourself, Luca, as that cute polar bear with your pudgy penguin trait?
Yeah, I like it.
Do you do you have any favorite animal within the Plooshies ecosystem, would you say? Um Out of the 11
I'm a
animals that we
dog
have
guy.
though.
Dogs are my favorite animal, so I think like
Oh yeah?
naturally, yeah. And then the
Okay.
fox. You have the fox.
Yeah, we have the fox, the red panda as well, and it's interesting because the base model for the panda, the fox, and the raccoon are the same ones, and I see a lot of people really being attracted to either one of those. But I'm just like you, Luca. Honestly, I'm a dog guy. That's why I chose that one as my digital identity, as my PFP. Um, how do you? I know that you share that as well. What happened with your dog as well? Um, how are you coping with the stuff that you've been dealing lately on a personal level? How do you I don't know, separate that from work to keep yourself, like, because people want to see Luca, right? Obviously, but also people need to understand that you're one of us. You're human. You have your own feelings and your own shit to deal with. How do you separate that, and how do you feel like the community can understand that?
Yeah, I think I try not to make it everyone else's problem. Like at the end of the day, the
Mm,
community just wants me to work and I just got to deal with it. I deal with it in my own ways, but
yeah.
I obviously I think the community is understanding, especially like, in the beginning of the year,
Mm,
it was a pretty rough, end of 2025, early 20 or end of 2024, early 2025. Be frank, I really just keep it to myself.
yeah.
Um, I try not to bring that energy over into the community. It's not really that helpful, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Within your community, someone someone that stands out from your community, um, how do you, maybe let me rephrase this, maybe reframe the question though, because identifying the people that are elevating your brand, sometimes when people want to do a bunch of different stuff and they want to capture your attention, um, how would you say that these community members that are elevating your brand, doing this and that and any other, you yourself as someone who I still consider a really brilliant community builder, have you had what can you learn from them, like, because you see their passion, right? Like they're really your number one fans, not just Luca Nets fans, but obviously the Patch Penguins brand. um, when you identify them, how do you bring them in to kind of support them, like bring them the Pudgy Penguin support, the Pudgy Penguins love? Um, is that something that you do, or do you have someone else doing that for you?
I don't know if we have. I think it just kind of happens. I don't think we have
Mm.
anything like structurally in place for that. Not to my knowledge, at least.
Mm. Okay. That's all right. Um, yeah, nah, look, one of the questions that I've always had in my mind when when I have someone like you is, if you weren't doing this shit right now, if you weren't in the trenches and you were like, dude, I'll be doing something else, would you think you should be doing something, uh, related to the stuff that you were doing prior Project Penguins, or you were always gonna find a way to be like, hey, I really want to be in crypto and NFTs?
I would be doing AI. I'm almost 99% certain.
Oh, really? Like,
For
but
sure.
what kind of, would you be like
I
programming
don't know. I was
or?
an opportunist before Pudgy, so I was doing anything where I thought where the puck was going. So
Mm,
I would have made. I have a bunch of friends who are like no coding viral AI apps making like millions a month. Like that's
yeah.
right up my alley. Like that's exactly what I would have been doing. As I
Oh
would have got
shit.
Peter. Peter would be designing the AI. We'd be, I'd be marketing it. like, you know, all these apps like, oh, you know, turn yourself old, you know, fix your, you know,
Yeah.
Facetune V2 glamour or whatever. Like I'd be doing all that.
Oh shit. Okay. I feel like that's something I've never heard before from you. So that's actually kind of new and kind of
Yeah.
cool as well. Because I mean, that would be sick. Maybe something to think about, like for maybe the Pudgy Penguins, hey?
Mhm.
Like bring some AI shit. Maybe you are already thinking of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a solid answer. Maybe, maybe not. We'll see about that. But you and Peter and Vedant and Lorenzo. That's sort of like I guess I couldn't call it like the Three Musketeers because you're four. Maybe there's more people, but I'm thinking about them. How's your relationship with them? Not just like for outside of work, because I feel like you go way back, right, with them.
Yeah, they're basically my best friends. I told them that. I'm like, you guys are
Mm.
basically my best friends. You know, they know that. I don't really have. I spend every waking moment with one of those four. I don't really talk to or hang out with anyone else. So they're my best
Mm.
friends. I'm building this business with my best friends, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's the best thing, hey.
Mhm.
Who's I guess your oldest friend from them? Who did you meet
Peter.
first?
Peter. I
Peter?
met Peter when I was 13 in sixth grade, or 12 years old in sixth grade.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Far out. You actually go way back with Peter. That's insane.
Yeah.
Um
My guy.
your guy, shout out to Peter, by the way. Maybe if you're watching this or you're gonna watch the replay. Um it's like everyone needs a Peter in their life. So I hope he's being also obviously the stuff that he's doing for Patch Penguins and shit, but being with you as a friend. Um that's cool though. That's cool to have. Um but yeah, Luca, going back to abstract, is there anything that because you're having a bunch of calls with different founders and builders on abstract, is there maybe a few in particular without naming them uh, that makes you like holy shit, this looks like it could be a banger, that I'm willing to internally, maybe you have something like a bet internally, I'm willing to bet, with myself, that these guys are definitely gonna make it.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. I mean, it's funny because like the ones that I think that the community think that as well. Like you guys, On Chain Heroes,
Mm,
Thingiverse, Roach Racing, Gotcha, Multiplier, the NFT side, Bearish. Like those
yeah,
guys are super bullish on Bearish,
yeah,
and Foley and
shout out to
crew.
Tully and Scotty, yeah.
Um, I'm super bullish some of these meme coin founders. I mean, Newt,
Mm,
Abster, uh, Zippy, Changu. I mean, I know I'm talk like for those who don't know, maybe the alpha for the chat is like I'm doing weekly calls with all the NFT founders and all the meme coin founders. For
mm,
people who are not, familiar, I don't think I've ever made that public, but you know, and I'm doing a lot of one-on-ones with a lot of these teams.
mm-hmm.
These guys, there's some of these guys are incredibly talented, like incredibly talented. Uh, and it's my job to like guide them in the right direction. But uh,
Yeah,
I'm surprised actually at some of these meme coin builders, like guys that are very serious about building a global meme coin.
yeah.
Like the Newt guy is like super serious about it, and I love it. I met the Abster or the
Oh
Retspa
shit, yeah.
the Retspa founders came to the office yesterday.
No
That
way.
was pretty cool. So like yeah,
Huh.
they're based near me. Um,
Mm,
so like I think there's just a bunch of like really good guys here
yeah,
uh, that like they all care, and as long as you care and you're willing to hustle hard and grind, I think we can
yeah.
win. We can win together. So there's quite a good bunch, uh, quite a good bunch for sure.
That's cool though. Especially because you're having these one-on-one calls and the weekly calls and such. How different it is, like chatting with the meme coin guys, for instance, right? Even if I was in the trenches, or I'm in the trenches, I don't really get to see who these people are. Like it's not that common, right? But especially now that you've seen them IRL, or that you've had these calls with them, how different that is from talking to these guys with the within the trenches and meme coins and shit to NFT builders with anything that whatever they're building, right?
It's actually very similar. You'd be surprised, but they're all the
Okay.
same problems the NFT guys have, are the same problems the meme coin guys have.
Mm.
So it's very similar, and it's all IP oriented, right? Like a lot of guys
Yeah.
are really trying to build like dope IP.
Yeah.
So it's a little more similar than I think people think, but they've yeah, and it's similar conversation. So you're obviously in one side of the conversations. They're very similar, but it's really
Mm.
nice to see like who gives a shit and who doesn't. And some of these guys are working hard, dude. Like the you know the Newt Cabal, like I know these kids are putting in 15-16 hour days, you know what I mean?
Far
And I say
out,
Newt
yeah.
Cabal because he has a couple friends that have a couple other tokens within the ecosystem, etc., and they're all just like working hard towards it.
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting to see. It's interesting to see who gives a shit and who doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for instance, with these guys, because also for you with Pengu, right? I want to talk a little bit about Pengu though, because you've been building this narrative that Pengu is the social currency, right? Like Pengu should be the social currency. It's a big ass movement. Now you've onboarded a lot of people. Um, for instance, maybe I don't know if you want to say that or you can say that, but taking inspo from people who've done it before in the meme coin trenches, that you were like, holy shit, they did it pretty fucking well. Maybe this is something that I can do with Pengu, or maybe this is something that I want to bring, to any other stuff, or that I can, or that you yourself are maybe learning from these meme coin builders and shit. Yeah,
Yeah, I think, there's definitely some good guys on the abstract side that are sharing some information that I think matter. But I think the only
Mm.
meme coin in the entire crypto space that I think has any semblance is probably like that I can derive any inspiration from would be like Shiba, because of how
Mm.
Shiba manufactured. Like they're a really good marketing team, the Shiba Inu team.
Yeah.
And so like that's pretty interesting. But to be frank, like our whole goal with Pengu is like set the tone and set the bar as to what these things can become.
Mm.
Not like, not like do nothing like pretty much every other meme coin. So like very much
Yeah,
do
right.
different playbooks. So there's not that many people that we can reference,
Okay.
unfortunately. Cole, I gotta
But
see
I
this
think, like,
together, brother.
yeah.
What's that?
I gotta see it put together. I got 1 minute before I have to get on a legal call.
Okay.
I
Oh
gotta see it.
shit. Okay. That sounds very important, Cole.
That
You gotta
sounds
put it
good.
together for me, Cole.
I'll have to render it off stream, but here's how it's. Oh wait, let me change the screen.
Oh damn, the pressure.
We made
Wait,
good progress though.
let me put it there. Oh, that's so cool, dude.
You're a beast, Cole.
He's insanely talented, honestly. Like we're lucky to have someone like him in our team.
Is
Like
Cole on
I'm
the
not gonna
Plooshies
lie.
team?
Yeah, well, of course, 100%.
You
He's
gotta
my
get
guy.
higher. This dude's a beast.
Yes, sir. 100%, dude.
So
Well,
But
Luca,
guys,
yeah,
unfortunately, I gotta let you go because they're charging me $1,500 an hour, so I gotta make sure I
yeah,
don't
no,
get
dude.
those.
oh damn.
Oh, good. Look, honestly, thanks, Heaps, for your time. This was fantastic, and yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks
Yeah,
for your
and
time.
Bogon, keep up the great
Yeah,
work. The Plooshies are freaking awesome. You guys are great, and
thanks,
I've
man.
been a huge fan for what is it, 2 years now? You guys been in this, a year and a
Yeah,
half?
like two and a half, maybe. But yeah,
Crazy. Been a
crazy.
huge fan, dude. Great work.
Yes, thanks, mate. I appreciate that. Have a good one, Luca. See ya. Cheers.
Bye,
See ya.
Luca.
All right, guys. Well, as you guys know, Luca just left. I mean, I don't want to pay Luca 1,500 because he has that legal call, so he really needs to go. But yeah, dude, imagine. Hey, no, just stay 30 more minutes, and then I have to pay for that. Hey, but yeah, now, guys, honestly, thanks heaps for joining us today. Um, if you guys are not familiar with how we do things here, just a quick recap. The idea is like, you know, plushifying the space. We're plushifying Luca. What better person to plushify than Luca Nets, right? Cole has been creating something really cool. I can't wait to see how that's gonna look like once he ends up rendering it. And like you see, it's just literally a casual convo. There's literally no agenda at all. Just two guys having fun, chatting with each other, and getting to know, and you guys as well, getting to see the other side of Luca, I hope, and getting to know us as well, the Plooshies team. Just real quick before we leave, Cole, we will be doing more streams, obviously in the coming weeks. We'll be announcing that, whether that be Monday or Tuesday, depending on the day that we will be bringing our guests, because we rely on their availability. And also, guys, there's a bunch of stuff. I know that maybe things are being a little bit quiet, but there's a very good reason for that. We'll be announcing a bunch of stuff in the coming weeks that I feel like not that many people are expecting, and I can't wait for y'all to to see what we've been cooking behind the scenes. But yeah, Cole, sir, as usual, thanks again, you absolute legend. Thank you guys. I know that you guys could have been somewhere else. Um, like myself, I actually had to go to a wedding. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. So yeah, good night, guys. Cheers. See
Good
ya.
night.
Good night, sir.